Hey, welcome back to Mike's Garage, Techn Moto. That's the channel's name. Don't forget it. No, seriously. I just figured out why my shifter was becoming loose and actually came off on one of my trips last year. And I want to show it to you guys and girls, just in case you come across this. I already took this all apart, but I'll explain to you what's going on here, all right? This is the shifter, right? The heel-toe shifter. And then it connects here, all right? Let's just say it's all connected. This actually came off. This screw, which holds the shifter in the back here for the tranny, onto the shifter shaft, backed off, and the shifter just came apart while I was on the highway. So long story short, I tightened it up. Everything seemed fine. Now I'm doing my pre-checks and I find that my shifter's loose again. This piece here is loose. It's moving like that. So that tells me that the screw backed out again. Now the screw is not in good condition anymore. The threads, I don't know if you can see them, they're not beat up to the point where I couldn't reuse this, but I don't trust this screw anymore. So I'm gonna have to replace the screw. And that's just from being beat around by moving. Come to find out, there's two bushings in here, all right, one on each end. Those bushings were loose. When I took the shifter, you could do this with it. Now, there's more play in it now because the bushings are out, but it was pretty close to what it is now. All right, so that told me that the bushings were shot. Now, you're probably wondering how I got this out. Well, I don't have a special tool. So, you know, you take the screw out of the shifter here, and the tranny shifter slides out, and then this whole toe heel shifter just comes right out of there. Now these are the bushings, the old bushings. So I heat the housing up just a little bit with MAP gas just to get it to expand a little bit more. Not over, you don't want to put too much heat on this because this is aluminum. And then I took a screwdriver. I cut a slot down the brass shim with the screwdriver, being careful not to mar up the aluminum housing. And then I was able to get underneath it with the punch and just punch it out. It worked for me. Did very little damage. I mean, there's a little scratch here on the housing, but that's going to be fine. And I did the same thing on this side. And they popped right out. Putting them in is going to be a different story. I'll have to come up with a way to do that. And I already got an idea on how I'm going to do that. So that was the issue, the brass bushings for the shifter shaft. Now, I was looking at this shaft, and to me, it looks like it might be bent a little bit. Slightly, not much. So to play it safe, I ordered a new shaft, new bushings, and I'm getting rid of this plastic spacer. I just ordered it's going to be a chrome piece that's going to go in here, and it has a built-in spring on it, which will go against the housing and put pressure on the housing so this doesn't move as much. That should decrease wear and tear on those bushings. So once all the parts get here, we'll go ahead and I'll show you what the parts look like, and I'll show you how I'm going to put this all back together. And hopefully after this is repaired, I won't have any more issues with this lever coming apart. In all honesty, this is one of the things you need to check on your Harley. Now, my understanding is the newer Harleys, they don't have this issue of the shafts coming apart. Although I've seen people have these replaced on the warranty. So I'm not sure. But I do notice it's one thing that you want to check. Make sure that's not coming loose. And basically, my opinion, I think the heel-toe shifter is too heavy for that setup. Puts too much pressure on the bushings and wears them out too much. Not to mention that the engine shakes quite a bit. So all that comes into play with these bushings wearing out. I looked it up and they're suggesting, I believe Harley is suggesting that those bushings get replaced every 20,000 miles. And I think that's insane. I'm sure they can come up with a better system than that. The older Harleys used to have a grease fitting in that area, so you could grease the shaft. And I don't understand why they did away with that. It seemed like the older ones lasted longer with the grease fitting. Just my opinion. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but that's just what I think from my experience. But anyway, I've got the two brass bushings on order. I got the new shaft on order, and I have to pick up one bolt. I'm going to go to the hardware and just pick up a stainless steel bolt for that shifter linkage. Everything else looks good. As far as the other side going into the tranny, there's not much play there at all, so I'm content with that. All right, when we get those parts, we'll be back and show you how we're going to do that.